I never thought I was addicted. It was just a habit, right? Something every guy did. Until one day I looked at myself in the mirror and the thought struck me. Why do I feel so tired, foggy, and empty after watching pixels grind on a screen? That was the moment I realized I wasn't watching porn anymore. Porn was watching me, so I did something extreme. Something most people wouldn't dare to do. I quit cold turkey for 30 days. No half measures, no only once a week excuses, just a clean break. And what happened next? My energy shot through the roof. My motivation came back from the dead. My confidence started punching through ceilings. Oh, and yes, the other thing got stronger too. You know what I'm talking about, but here's the catch. It wasn't easy, and it's way deeper than just deleting a few browser tabs or using website blockers. So in this video, I'm not just going to tell you what happened during this process, but I'm going to give you the exact truths and tactics that helped me finally break free. Stick with me, because the truth about porn is so disturbing, but the way out, that's the part no one talks about. So here's how we're breaking this down. First, I'll share with you the 5 hard truths about porn you've probably never heard before. Then, I'll reveal to you the 5 unusual tactics that worked for me when nothing else did. So sit back and grab yourself some snack, because from here on, there's no holding back. I'm literally spilling the whole sauce. No fluff, no lectures, just real talk from a guy who clawed his way out and is never going back. Let's start with something controversial. You know how social media traps you in that endless scroll? You open Instagram just for a sec and suddenly it's dark outside. You've watched 27 reels, liked a dog doing backflips, and somehow ended up on a cooking page for vegan pancakes, and you don't even like pancakes. Now imagine that, but supercharged. That's porn. It's not just a time suck, it's a full-blown neurological ambush. Every video, every click, every new thumbnail is a dopamine nuke. And your brain, it starts chasing that spike like a lab rat chasing cheese. You train your brain to expect instant gratification, no effort, no patience, just stimulation on demand. But here's the kicker. The more dopamine you blast, the more numb you become. One brain imaging study showed that chronic porn users had less gray matter in the reward system of the brain. That means their brains had adapted to the flood of stimulation by feeling less about everything. Translation? Nothing else hits the same anymore. That gym session? Hanging out with friends? Kinda boring. Talking to a real woman who doesn't moan on cue? Way too much effort. Suddenly, life's textures feel flat. Your drive shrinks, your ambition tanks, and worst of all, you think it's just a slump. But it's not. It's chemical. You're literally being rewired to feel less, want less, and pursue less. This isn't about willpower, it's about biology. And if you're stuck, it's not because you're lazy, it's because your brain's reward system has been hijacked, and porn is flying the plane. So here's the first truth. Porn hijacks your dopamine like a drug. But if porn is the drug, then who's the dealer? Let's talk about that. Now you must pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you, because this is exactly what separates the top 1% from the other 99% of people who failed trying to quit their porn addiction. You need to understand that this is a $100 billion industry. Yeah, billion with a B. And guess what? You're not the customer, you're the product. Their business model is simple. Get you hooked, keep you watching, harvest your attention like a cash crop. Your misery? That's not a side effect, it's the business plan. Every time you hit play, you feed their machine. They don't care if you feel gross afterward, they care about one thing: data. What category did you click? How long did you stay? Did you skip the intro? Did you pause at a certain scene? Rewind? Click into something niche? They track it all, not for fun, for manipulation. This isn't a random collection of videos, it's a casino. And you're not the house, you're the gambler they want sitting at the slot machine until you're broke and burnt out. They study your habits like scientists in a lab, and just like Vegas, they escalate the content. Start with something vanilla? Cool, but in 2 weeks, they're nudging you towards stuff you never searched for and never thought you'd be into. Not because you want it, but because your brain got desensitized. And just like that, you're deeper in the funnel. This isn't about fantasy anymore, it's about engineering. They don't care if it ruins your relationships, they don't care if it kills your motivation, they only care if you click, and as long as you do, they win. So truth number 2 is simple: the porn industry doesn't care about you at all. Now, if you're thinking, okay, but I can stop anytime, let me hit you with the third truth. Let me guess, you've tried to quit before, you had that moment of clarity, you deleted your browser history, maybe even installed a blocker, felt like a champion. Day 1, easy, you're motivated, focused. Day 2, a little itch, no big deal. Day 3, your brain starts negotiating. Just one quick look, nothing crazy, just a peek. Next thing you know, it's 2 a.m. and you're back at square one, feeling guilty, disappointed, asking yourself, why can't I just stop? It's not because you're weak, it's not because you're broken, but because you're using logic to fight biology. You're trying to outmuscle a biochemical loop that's been hijacking your brain for years. It's like stepping into the ring with Mike Tyson wearing pool floaties. You think you're in control, but your dopamine system is running the show. Porn rewires your brain to crave instant hits. The moment you feel bored, stressed, anxious, or even slightly uncomfortable, boom, your brain hits that default escape route. And logic? Logic doesn't stand a chance against dopamine. It's like bringing a polite debate to a bar fight. You need more than good intentions. You need systems, structure, actual tools. Willpower works until it doesn't. It's great when you're rested, focused, and everything's perfect. But when life gets messy, when you're tired, alone, frustrated, your brain doesn't want a lecture, it wants relief. That's why most guys relapse, not because they don't care, but because they're bringing a butter knife to a gunfight. It's not about trying harder, it's about training smarter. And this is the third truth: willpower alone won't save you. So if willpower's not enough, then what is? That leads us to truth number 4. Now this one hits hard, and I need you to pay close attention here, because the more porn you watch, the more it rewires your desires. Literally. At first it starts simple, nothing crazy, just curiosity, but fast forward a few weeks, a few months, and boom. That one weird category you swore you'd never click, now it's your daily routine, your default setting, and you're not even enjoying it anymore. You're just chasing the next high, the next shock, like a junkie upping the dose because the old hit just doesn't land like it used to. This isn't about what you like, it's about what your brain's been trained to want. And here's where it really screws you over. Real people, real connection, real sex, they suddenly feel off. Too slow, too emotional, not enough camera angles, not enough fake moaning and unrealistic expectations. You've consumed so much artificial stimulation that the real thing starts feeling like a letdown. You stop craving connection and start craving performance. You don't want a moment, you want a scene. You don't want closeness, you want control. And the worst part, you probably didn't notice it happening. It's subtle, one click here, one scroll there, but over time it reshapes what excites you, what you expect, and what you need just to feel a spark. This isn't a preference, this is Pavlov's bell, rewired around pixels and shock value. Your mind's not broken, it's been conditioned. And this is truth number 4. Porn changes what you're attracted to. But there's good news, because what's been conditioned can be reconditioned. You just have to stop feeding the machine. And when your brain changes, your body does too. Now let's talk about the final and most painful truth. I saved this for the last because this one's personal, and if you haven't paid attention to anything I've been talking about, then you might want to pay close attention to this one. See, the more I used porn, the less drive I had, and I don't just mean in the bedroom, I mean in life. I stopped chasing, I stopped building, I stopped trying, and no, I wasn't lazy, I was just numb, no fire, no ambition, just grey, like my soul had the volume turned down to 0. Porn doesn't just drain your energy, it hijacks your purpose. See, every time you watch it, your brain gets flooded with dopamine, the kind of rush you're supposed to get from actual accomplishments, closing a deal, hitting a PR, creating something that actually matters. But porn skips the grind. It hands you the reward without the journey. It's like a cheat code with a price tag. Now your brain can't tell the difference between real success and artificial pleasure. So after a while, it stops pushing you to earn anything. That business you wanted to start? Too much work. That book you wanted to write? Maybe later. That gym session you promised yourself? Maybe tomorrow. Because deep down, your brain already feels like it's won. And the scariest part, you don't even notice the decline. It's not a crash, it's a slow fade. You instantly go from, I'm gonna conquer the world to, what's the point, without even realizing you've crossed the line. For me, porn didn't just kill my libido, it killed my hunger. And when a man loses his hunger, his edge, he's not living, he's just existing. That's how porn kills kings. And that's truth number 5. Porn slowly destroys your masculinity. It steals your crown, one click at a time. Alright, that's the truth bomb section. Now, let's flip the script, because I'm about to reveal the 5 unusual tactics that finally got me free. If you're anything like me, I've tried a ton of online solutions and remedies from people I thought would have a solution to my problem, but I was disappointed. Nothing worked. It's like asking a baby to teach you how to walk when they can barely stand on their own feet. They literally had zero to no knowledge of what it really felt like. And that's why I've combined all my knowledge and created this video as a guide for my younger self. So all you have to do is copy these steps carefully from the beginning to the end, because once it stakes, it stays, and it never leaves. When I started this journey, the first thing I did that actually worked for me was I stopped focusing on, did I relapse? That question kept me trapped in guilt. Every time I slipped, it felt like starting from zero, like the entire journey meant nothing because of one moment. So I flipped the script. Instead of obsessing over the fall, I studied the lead up. I started tracking when I got triggered, what caused it, how I felt afterward, what time of day did it usually happen, what emotions was I avoiding, was I bored, anxious, lonely, tired. Turns out most of my relapses had less to do with desire and more to do with escape, and porn was my shortcut out of discomfort. But this approach changed everything. It made porn feel less like some unbeatable monster and more like a bad habit with predictable moves, like playing chess. Once you see your opponent's pattern, you can outmaneuver them. For example, I noticed I always got triggered late at night when I was scrolling mindlessly and felt a little off. So I made a rule, no phone in bed, simple but game-changing. Another time, I caught myself diving into porn after an argument. Why? Because I didn't want to feel the anger. Once I saw that, I started journaling instead. This is the power of awareness. It creates distance between you and the urge. It turns you from the victim of impulse into the observer of behavior. And that's where the control begins. You can't fight what you refuse to face. Track it, study it, break the pattern before it breaks you. And that's tactic 1, track the urge, not the outcome. Next, I used this simple tool, and it felt like cheating. I call it simple because it is simple. When the urge hit, I set a timer for 5 minutes, and that's it. 5 minutes, not never again, not I have to be perfect. Just don't give in for the next 300 seconds. And in those 5 minutes, I moved. I did push-ups, jumping jacks, squats, whatever made my body feel alive again. Sometimes I'd splash cold water on my face like I was rebooting a broken computer. Other times, I'd step outside and just walk. No phone, no distractions, just air. Because here's the trick, your body and mind are linked. That urge, it's not a command, it's a signal, and signals can fade. 9 times out of 10, the urge passed by the time that timer went off. It was like a wave, heavy, loud, and scary, but if I stood still, it rolled over me and kept going. See, urges feel like they'll last forever, like you'll explode if you don't act on them, but they're liars. They're just temporary discomfort pretending to be permanent doom. Think about it. How many times have you given in, then felt nothing 5 minutes later? Just guilt and regret, like you traded your power for 5 seconds of fake reward. At this point, the 5-minute rule was my anchor. It gave me a sense of control in a storm of chaos. And here's the kicker. Every time I didn't give in, my brain got stronger, like a muscle, and resisting became easier. The gap between urge and action widened. You really don't need to be perfect. You just need a gap. And that's tactic 2, the 5-minute delay trick. But what happened when urges hit out of nowhere? That's where this next one saved me. I created what I called a why I quit wall. It was ugly, brutally honest. On one side, I pinned screenshots of the most embarrassing searches I'd made, the ones I deleted, the ones I denied. Next to that, I tacked up a spreadsheet of hours I wasted, late nights I spent alone, mornings I woke up in shame. Then I took it a step further and listed the side effects, brain fog so thick I couldn't think, mood swings that turned small stress into meltdown, nights I lay awake, heart racing, replaying the same scenes. Every time I felt that familiar itch, I didn't scroll, I didn't delete history, I looked at that wall, I stared at my own mistakes, my own defeat. And guess what? It killed the fantasy instantly. My brain tried to trick me again. Just one quick video, it whispered, but the wall shouted back, "You've been here before, you know the cost." Seeing this reality broke the illusion. It reminded me that porn wasn't glamorous. It was a chain, a regression, a trap, and I wanted out. Putting the wall together felt raw. It felt shameful, but every glance reminded me of my purpose. It turned shame into fuel. Whenever I walked past it, I felt a spark, a flash of resolve, because I wasn't just avoiding something, I was moving towards something better. That wall wasn't punishment, it was a mirror. And in that reflection, I found my drive to break free. And that's tactic 3, make it ugly, but white knuckling alone won't cut it. So let's bring in some backup. I told one friend, just one, not a therapist, not a Reddit thread, just a real human being I trusted enough to say, "Hey, I'm struggling with this, hold me accountable." But I didn't stop there. We made a deal. If I relapsed, I had to donate $100 to a cause I absolutely despised. Not something I would consider neutral, something that made my skin crawl. The stakes? Personal, petty, painful. I picked a political group I couldn't stand, the kind of group I wouldn't even retweet ironically. The idea of my money funding their agenda? that lit a fire under me like nothing else. Suddenly, the late night urge didn't just threaten my dopamine, it threatened my pride, because now relapse wasn't just personal shame, it came with real world consequences, embarrassment, regret, accountability. And weirdly, that worked way better than guilt ever did. Why? Because guilt is passive, it waits until after the fall. But the pain you choose, that's proactive. It sits beside you, whispering, "You sure about this?" And that whisper was louder than any urge. Telling that one friend flipped the script for me. It turned my private battle into a shared mission. It reminded me that discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about building traps that catch you before you fall. So yeah, pain works, but only when it's strategic. Use it like a weapon, point it at your weakness, make failure cost you, then watch how fast your habits change. Now that's tactic 4, accountability that hurts, but this next tactic is yet the most powerful and yet overlooked. You can't just stop porn. That's like telling a smoker to just breathe air instead. Porn doesn't exist in a vacuum, it fills a gap. Boredom, loneliness, stress, lack of purpose. So if you rip it out without filling the space, well, guess what? That empty space pulls you right back in. For me, I didn't quit porn. I replaced it. Let me explain. At the time, I needed something that lit my soul on fire, something that gave me a reason to get out of bed with purpose, not just guilt. First came cold showers, brutal, shocking, humbling, but they woke me up, mentally and physically. They reminded me that I could do hard things on purpose, that I was still in control of my body. Then came weightlifting, heavy iron, no headphones, no mirrors, just me versus gravity. And every rep chipped away at the part of me that felt weak, shameful, small. At the time, I wasn't chasing six-pack abs, I was chasing my power back. And finally, I poured everything into this channel. Scripts, edits, comments, replies. Every moment I would have wasted spiraling into fantasy, I turned into creation. This became my legacy project, my reminder that discipline builds empires. For you, it might be something different, maybe reading, painting, or even just walking. Listen, you don't kill urges by wrestling them, you redirect them, you transmute them. Take the energy that used to fuel your lust and pour it into your legacy, your fitness, your purpose, your mission. Because the goal isn't just to stop being a consumer, it's to become a creator. That's tactic 5, replace it with fire. 30 days later, I wasn't just porn-free. I was reborn, more energy, better focus, deeper relationships, stronger body, and most importantly, my mind was mine again. You can have that too. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. One day, one win, one shift at a time. So what's your next move? If this video helped you, share it with a friend, because someone out there is fighting the same battle alone. And if you're ready for the next step, hit subscribe. We're building something bigger here. A tribe of men waking up, leveling up, and taking their power back. This is the shallow route. Watch this video next, and I'll see you in the next one.